Okay, and welcome back to the bench. Thanks for dropping back in again. Really appreciate it. A couple videos ago, I started working on a Heathkit XR2P, which the P means plastic. There was an L version which had a leather case. If you looked at the last video, I'll show you what the problem was in this video again. But there was a lot of damage to this radio, and I kind of asked the viewers what they think I should do, and I got a bunch of responses back that I should take on the challenge, which I decided to do. It had a couple conditions if I was going to move forward, but one of the conditions was I was going to go through test parts, coils, transformers. Those are really unobtainium at this point, meaning that you can't find them. Even a donor radio, I think, is going to be hard to find on this. So what I did was I went through the radio. I tested the output transformer, the driver transformer, the speaker, the oscillators and the IF coils all seem to be okay. Not sure if I'm going to have any silver mica disease once I get it running, but we'll see. I don't think so. Transistor radio, I've never had that happen, but we'll see when we get into that. I did find a bunch of things that were wrong. There were the speaker itself has a small tear in it, and I'm going to get into showing you what I do to repair a small tear in a speaker, cleaning of the case, and what else I'm going to be doing. So let me refocus the camera on the radio. I will get into a couple other issues that I found once I focus on the radio, and maybe you guys can help me out before I get to that point as to what I'm going to do. So let me get you focused over here, and we'll get onto the radio itself. Okay. Okay, as you remember, the radio, for whatever reason, took some kind of a big hit. Took out 2 transistors, a couple resistors, there's one in the back here, capacitors. So what I did was, when I went through it, I found that a couple of the capacitors were bad, electrolytics. I'm just going to replace all 6 of the electrolytics at this point. And the coils were good. I did find a new volume control. I've ordered that off of eBay. Not my favorite place to order it, but I could not find on any of my regular sites that I go to, Mauser, DigiKey, maybe I missed them. Local shop here in northern New Jersey called Wayne Electronics. I needed a 1 meg pot with an on-off control, and it had to have a fluted control knob on it so that the knob would fit back on. Everything was just straight shaft. So I did find one on eBay. I've ordered that. I've ordered the other parts. But my biggest concern was, what am I going to do for transistors? So I started looking around, and I pulled up, this is off of, I don't know if you can read this, it's off of datasheetcatalog.com. I looked at what was in here, I wrote down the specs, and then I started looking at other radios. Okay, I looked at the predecessor to this one, the XR1. Different transistors, but very similar specifications. I then went to one of my radios that I have here in the shop, and it's a Zenith Royal 400. Now, the Royal 400, when I looked at it, it actually has 7 transistors, not 6, okay? And when I went in and I started looking at, down here is where they are, okay? These numbers I also looked up on the spec sheet. and they are very similar to what's in this radio, okay? So a lot of you are probably thinking to yourself, well, what are you going to do? You're going to destroy this radio. This radio is working. It's a Royal 400 under fluorescent lights. You're not going to get anything here, but
had all the hallmarks of Russian intelligence.
it is working.
When they
Okay, there's a story behind this radio. Anybody that knows anything about the Royal 400s, this is not the grill cloth for this. I bought this radio for the speaker. The radio wasn't working. I bought it at a good price because I wanted the speaker, which is an oval speaker, to repair an H500, a Royal 500 that had an oval speaker. Doing that, I then cannibalized the frame from the old the speaker that was in here, fit in a cheap little 2-inch speaker, and that's what's in here now. It is working. One of the IFs was open. That's been bypassed, so it works. Not perfectly, but it works. I put a new grill cloth on it. There were some other parts on this radio that I wanted, but I did buy it as a parts radio. So it got quiet because the air conditioner just went off. The transistors that are in here are what I think would be compatible. Again, looking at the circuit is very similar, similar in design. Hey, it's a cheap transistor radio. And then down here, looking up the part numbers, the actual PNP numbers, again, they're very similar to the transistors that were in the XR2. So that's what I'm going to be using for the transistors that are bad. I did take some time to clean up the case. It's looking really nice. Again, it's just a plastic case. Now, one of my problems I'm hoping you guys can help me with is inside these knobs. I got a little piece of, my temporary fix was to put a piece of sandpaper in there, 320 grit sandpaper. Inside is supposed to be fluting to go on the knobs. Unfortunately, there's no fluting left in there. It just spins on the knob. If there's any way that I could repair that fluting and not have to use a filler in there, I appreciate it. Comments on that. That's bugging me right now because you can't use the radio without the knobs. And when you put the knobs on, the knobs have to go on after it's back in the chassis. So there's no way to even put a set screw in there. I thought about putting a little set screw in there, and then, but that's not going to work. All right, that's an issue. Both knobs have the same problem. So if anybody out there has an idea for me, truly appreciate it. One of the other knob, actually the volume knob, was broken, and I'm going to fix that. But just gluing it or epoxying it back into place is not going to, it'll probably just break out again. So I'm going to actually wrap that with, I could use a zip tie on it to hold that piece in place and then epoxy over the top of it, or wrap it with a wire, make it tight, epoxy over that, make it a lot stronger. But that's not my problem. My problem is how to get the fluting back into the knobs, okay? And again, the other problem I found was the speaker right here. It's hard to see. I don't know if you can see it. But right there by my thumb, there's a small tear in it. So rather than letting that go until it's bad, I will repair it, and I'll show you what I do on that. Okay, so I've assembled everything that I'm going to need here. One of the things I do is I use a tissue paper. I mean, this stuff is, you probably can't see it on the camera, but it's basically transparent. You can almost see through it. It's cheap tissue paper. And I don't cut. In other words, you could cut a patch out of here with a scissors, but then that's going to leave rough edges. So the best thing to do is to make a patch by just tearing and leaving the fibers of the tissue paper. Now look, guys, I'm no genius. I learned this from somebody else. Actually, I learned this from, I think it was B. Anderson TV. And that will fit on there really nice and do that patch, okay? The other thing I'm going to use here is Eileen's tacky glue. Again, this was from B. Anderson TV. I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't come up with, but I tried it. I think I got some left. You don't need a lot. I'll tell you why. Because you're not going to use it straight. At least I'm not. I forget if Bob did or not, but I'm just going to add a little bit of water. Oop, a little too much water. Let me get rid of some of that. Yeah, get rid of that on the rag. And still probably too much. I just want it watery. I want it to soak into the fibers. I don't want it to be globbed on. Yeah, get rid of some more of this water. There we go. All right, so I don't know if you can see this or not, but it's very watery. Now, before I came up with Eileen's tacky glue, I also used to use good old Elmer's white glue, but this works pretty good. I really like it. Put the cap on the bottle, otherwise I'll have water all over the place. And pick up the patch. Just push it from the back a little bit so that it opens it up and lets that glue get down in there. All right. And then I'm going to place this on here like, yeah, you can't even see it. Sorry, guys. I'm going to place this on here like this after I've put a little glue on it. And work it down in there. I don't want a lot of heavy glue. I want to make it smooth. I don't want ripples. I guess I tore a little piece off there. That's all right. I'll go. All right. So now that is a patch on the speaker. And I even put a little bit, you can see there's a color difference because the water soaked through. You can just put a little bit on the back to really bind those fibers together. All right, and that's it. That'll repair this speaker. Let's face it, this is not a high fidelity radio, so it's not going to be, again, it's not high fidelity. So I'm not too concerned with that. And that's it on the speaker repair. And that'll be it for this video. Again, if you like it, hey, even if you don't like it, click like, subscribe, and leave a comment. And please, if you have ideas about these knobs on what to do in there, make a comment on it, because I'm at a loss other than putting a little piece of sandpaper in there that'll grip onto it and keep it in place. Not really the way I like to do things, though. That's it, guys. Take care. And I do have the parts ordered, so they are on their way. The volume control is coming from China, so not sure how long that's going to take. And Just Radios, I should have that by a couple days. Take care, guys. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and again, thanks for joining me.